Hello and welcome to Dr. Nishant's diary. This one's called Not as Easy as It Looks. Well, I was, I had this patient of a pituitary tumor. Now, the pituitary is a tiny, very tiny, pea-sized little gland that hangs down from the brain into a bony cavity. And at one point of time, no one had any idea what it did till the father of neurosurgery, Cushing, found that it had multiple life sustaining properties and is now called the master gland, although it has its own other master in the brain, the hypothalamus. Anyways, so the pituitary can develop multiple tumors, and some of these tumors can secrete various substances that totally alter the body's physiology. So it can cause people to have very large bones, and if it doesn't function at all, then it can cause people to have very small statures, poor development, obesity, lots of lots of stuff. So I was supposed to take this enzyme blood sample for an enzyme at for the sorry I'm not sorry the hormonal test for a patient in the ward, and the test has to go by 9. So people told me go by 8, like make sure the sample's out by 8 and send it by 9. But I had a lot of work between 8 to 9, so I thought it's a blood sample, right? It'll go. So after finishing all my work, dot at 9, I reach the ward, I see this patient, and then I say, and he seems perfectly fine, adult patient, and I say, what, I need a blood test. Can you please just extend your arm? And he says, what are you going to do? And I said, a blood test. And he says, do you think I'm stupid? And I say, but this is important. And he says, you keep taking blood from me every day, like 3 times a day. Do you think I'm stupid? I'm not going to give any more blood. You're not doing any treatment. And he's saying this all very legibly. And I say, but we didn't take out any sample yesterday. And he says, you think I'm really stupid? I don't remember whether you've taken samples out from me. Where are you from? And then he goes on to ask me about where I've done have had my education and what qualifies me to take a blood sample, and where he lives, and suddenly what the weather is like outside, and randomly about any number of facts that had nothing to do with his disease or me being there or him giving me the blood sample. Turns out he has frontal lobe signs. Frontal lobe signs are basically personality changes, and this patient had specific psychiatric features, just pressure of speech, where he has to keep speaking, and a lack of abstract thinking, which is basically if you tell a person what does the sentence "people who have glass houses should not throw stones" means, and instead of saying what we would understand by this abstract concept, uh, he would just say something very concrete. It's called concrete thinking. He would say, "Oh, glass can be broken by stones, and anything made of glass should not be broken." But he won't understand what the deeper meaning of it is, even for the very simple sentences. So stuff like this. So basically, when you ask him a simple question like "Where do you live?" he will say, "I live in this place. It's so and so kilometers from here," which is all good. He understands and remembers everything. Then he suddenly says, "You should come over. I think I'm going to invite you for dinner. I have a friend who might want to talk to you, and you can be my friend." And he'll keep on, extending that chain of thought, and suddenly he'll shift to something else altogether. But what he won't do is extend his arm to let you take a blood sample. It took me an hour to convince him, and the rest of his relatives to convince him to let me take a blood sample. Even then, it was a bit difficult. But it just comes to show that things aren't as simple as they seem. I've taken a lot of blood samples in the last few months, and it's not. There's some people with edematous hands, with swollen hands, kids who won't cooperate, and all sorts of difficult patients. But it never took me that much time as this patient did, who would just fight you off very logically with his fists, but he'll make sure that you don't take a blood sample. Well, you know, like I said, things are not as simple as they seem. It seems, and I don't think we should take any little thing very lightly, and be prepared to know what patient we are going to see and how much time it's going to take to draw some blood. If you like this blog, do like, subscribe, and share.